Hey everybody, this is Alex with the Unboxing Project, and today talking about my 3D printer, the Anet A8. It's behind me here, going crazy. As you can see, there she is, just printing away like a workhorse, kinda. A workhorse that needs careful attention every day. I got this 3D printer about 4 months ago, and I've been using it pretty much every day. It runs almost non-stop. In fact, I've got 2 other printers that are running as well, and 2 more that are being built, kind of. So the Anet was not my first printer, it was actually my second printer. My first printer was the Mod T by New Matter. That's a whole other story, and I'm not going to get into that. Let me say that I'm glad that the Anet was not my first printer, because it takes a lot of work to keep it running, to get good prints out of it, keep it level, things like that. It's a great value for what you pay for if you're into the tinkering and the changing settings and experimenting and things like that. You just want to turn it on and print, this probably isn't the printer for you. So let's go over some of the pros and cons on this printer. Pros? Cost, of course. I got this for about 145 bucks before shipping, before tax, from GearBest. It took about 2 weeks to show up, which isn't too bad from China. There's lots of printable upgrades that you can do for this machine, like cable chains and belt tensioners, different chassis pieces to make the whole machine a little more stiff and rugged, because it is a little flimsy, kind of either way. It came completely disassembled. That's right, every nut, bolt, and piece was all separate in the box. Came packaged really well, but I'm listing this as a pro because the experience of putting it together taught me a lot about how it works. Like I said, this wasn't my first machine, it was actually my second machine. The first machine was very plug and play. Replacement parts are cheap and readily available. You can get new extruders, build plates, heated beds, circuit boards, pretty much every part to make this off of Amazon as a separate replacement piece, and get, second day shipping. It does have assisted bed leveling after you upgrade the firmware, and I'll get into that a little bit later. There's a really large community around the A8. There's a large community around the CR10 and the Ender 3 as well. But I think because of the price and the price points now in general for some of these entry-level printers, it's become really mainstream, and a lot more people are getting into it, which means a lot more people are talking about it. Again, I'm glad this wasn't my first printer, because if it was, I feel like it would have been so daunting for me. I wouldn't have had the appreciation that I do now for the printers that I have and the printers that I want. The last pro I'm going to put on this printer is that it's so much fun. It really is. Putting it together, I enjoyed it. I like tinkering and things, but sometimes I just want it to work. And I think that's a good segue into the cons on the Anet A8. So it ships with Marlin firmware, but the firmware is like 1.0 or 1.1.1. It's really old, outdated firmware that has been touched on and mentioned time and time again, that these shipping with super bare bone old firmware is dangerous. There's no thermal throttling in the Marlin firmware as it comes, and I know that from experience because while experimenting and playing around with it, I bumped those settings up super high and tried to get it to print super fast, and the hot end popped out, and it just got so hot, it got bright red, smoke started pouring out of it. Luckily I was here, and it was right over there, and I was able to stop it right away before it burned my house down. So don't think that, oh, it's not gonna happen to me, because it will. That little thermistor on the end that judges the temperature inside the hot end, it pops out. Yeah. Another con that may not be for me, but for people in general that purchase the A8 is troubleshooting. So yeah, there's a large community, but it can get kind of confusing, especially when the instructions come in broken English. There's tons of videos out there that show step-by-step on how to put it together and stuff. Most of it's pretty common sense if you take a look at it, think about it as you're doing it. There's definitely a learning curve there. It's missing critical components. Not just the upgraded firmware. The stock hot end and the nozzle and that whole bit is fine. The way that it comes with the direct drive sitting right on top of the carriage It works, it's fine. You can upgrade it, and there's lots of easy ways to upgrade it. It being upgraded factory probably wouldn't have added more cost, but definitely added more value. So the cost to upgrade some of these cheap components puts me at where I could have bought a higher end printer. For example, the bearings that came on it were scratching the heck out of those linear rods, out of the guide rods. The vertical, the horizontal, the vertical, the horizontal. All the guide rods have giant scratches all the way across them. On the bottom under the bed, especially on the Y-axis. It's ridiculous. I mean, I upgraded bearings, I upgraded the hot end to an E3D knockoff, actually, which was pretty cheap and works really well. I got the Bowden kit and the nozzle kits, the glass bed, which actually I've got, I'll talk about that in a minute. The MOSFETs, again, critical component that would have been an easy upgrade or an easy add-in, and the manufacturer just didn't do it. The power switch socket piece, the way it comes, it's just a plug, and you wire it onto the power supply. You have to unplug it every time just to turn the thing off. Kind of ridiculous. So all in all, that's about another $100 on top of the $140 I spent. That's $240-ish. I could have got an Ender 3. I almost could have got the Ender 3 Pro. Throw a little bit more at it, get a CR10 Mini. Either way, it's a learning experience. So as I'm looking for new printers to buy, I know what features I want. As you can tell behind me, looks like the volume's not spiking, but you can definitely hear it going behind me. It's loud, it's pretty loud. Like I said, I've got other printers, Mod T by New Matter, which is unplugged and sitting right over there. Maybe I'll do another review on it. And then I also have another printer that's right down here that you can't really see, but Monoprice Maker Select Plus. It's quiet, it really is. So is the Mod T. They're both really quiet for the most part, especially in comparison to the A8. The motors going are just ridiculously loud. It's not easy to control. The LED panel has button controls to get through all the menus. The factory settings are weird. You would think in the middle is enter, and actually the forward arrow button or the button to the right is enter, and the button to the back is go back, and it's confusing and annoying. Upgrading Marlin kind of fixed that. It made things a little more logical, whereas some of the controls on other machines are knobs or touchscreens. Makes it a little simpler. This machine actually corrupted 2 of my SD cards. One of them isn't even recognized at all on any machine I have, any computer I have, through card readers, multiple different kinds of card readers, adapters and whatnot. It's just toast. The other one would corrupt the end of the G-code file on any file I put on that card. Format the card, write on a different machine, had the same results. But it happened initially on the A8. Kind of annoying. There's no auto bed leveling, factory. The Marlin upgrade has an assisted bed leveling, which is okay, and it unlevels itself fairly frequently. About every 5th or 6th print, I need to go back in and make some fine-tune adjustments to re-level the bed. Now, you can add an auto bed leveling sensor, but it's a lot of work to do that. Soldering onto the board or cutting wires in a ribbon cable, I can do it. I feel comfortable doing that, but I don't want to. I don't want to have to do that kind of modification just to upgrade a fairly standard feature on other machines. And there's no filament runout sensor. Nothing to tell me that you're at the end of your roll, let's pause the print until you can come and fix the issue. Instead, it just keeps printing away with nothing coming out and wastes a lot of time and material that's not cheap. And there's no resume after power outage. I was doing some work somewhere else in the house and needed to kill the breaker, killed the wrong one, killed the power in here, lost the print I was working on. Really annoying. I got a battery backup on my printers now, but still. So that's my take on the Anet A8. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this printer. I'm going to dive into this as well as some of my other printers in some future videos to discuss upgrades and tips, settings, tricks, things like that. Make sure you check out a link in the description below to get your hands on this printer and let them know I sent you. Would I buy another one? No, I wouldn't. Am I glad I bought it? Yes. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about what to look for in a good printer. I've learned a lot about what I want in my printers, what features are important to me and what aren't. just by putting it together, I learned a lot about how they function, the FDM printers in general, which really helps with troubleshooting when a print's not coming out right. It gives me an idea of where to look first. Plus, you know, there's always Dr. Google. He's always got the answers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, thanks for watching.